Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Raka, and today I will be the first speaker of the opposition team. Before I bring my arguments, I would like to state some rebuttals before we start. So, first of all, on offer, we disagree with the first speaker of the government team's case as well. I'd like to provide why. First of all, they say that um, they paint that big companies absorbing small companies isn't good. Well, let's take an example on Google, for example. Google is a company that values your data, right? And compared to Facebook, which company that's famous for their data infringement. So what would happen if Google supposedly to merge with Facebook? What will happen is Google is going to force Facebook to comply with its laws as to not sell their data. What does it mean? This means that Facebook is not going to be their data infringement, that as in will not exist when it's bought by Google. This means that it's better for the society and for the Google itself. So this is both a win-win for companies, and that's why. Moving on, they say that customers do not consent on being their data merged. First of all, they really don't care. Why? Because these customers only care about the usability of the apps. For example, WhatsApp, on how they act as a messenger, or maybe Line, the ability of to send multiple stickers. And they really don't care about how it works behind, because it's not their obligation, right? But then, even if they do, these WhatsApp always gives an option for them to, it's called the terms and condition. Yes, it's long, but it's not long because they want it to be long. It's to be as precise, as accurate as possible. Because if there is something that's out of blue, then there'll be always check and balance in the form of, for example, social media. So if there's an unjust or some a law or a message that's uncertain, then social media can just call out the company and can revise it. This means that these companies have to be careful with terms and conditions, so they need to be transparent as possible, or not there will be drawbacks. Second of all, they say that the company is on blame for merging and acquisition. We say that, first of all, you need to understand that companies exist for one sole reason, as to provide as much profit as much as possible. And they need to do this by acknowledging the best course of strategy to course of this business decision. One of them is merger and acquisition. So, but then they might say, okay, then isn't that bad? Because when these companies gets bigger, more more users are harmed. Well, we say no. Why? Because when you became so large, like Amazon, the risk of your company is much bigger. What does this mean? When your company is prone to something bad, for example, the users dissatisfied, it is very more likely that it'll affect other customers. What does this mean? This means that the bigger you are, the more harm it can cause to your company itself. Basically, if you harm your customer, you're gonna harm your company. This means that Amazon will do anything in their power to make sure that their company doesn't give a bad impression, so that people would use their company rather than small businesses, local business, let's say Kojak in this case. Okay, moving on. And then they say that when big companies merge, they can just small companies can't compete. They'll just kill the competition. No, because government exists for a reason, and they will regulate the prices, so that these small businesses can still compete while the big companies still profit. Okay, let's move on to our goals. Our goals is to let's move to our stance. It's pretty clear that we do not regret the merchant and acquisition of these tax industries. Alright, let's move on to my arguments. Some of the rebuttals will be integrated into them. Now, first of all, we say that rather than killing small businesses, we say that small business will profit in these big companies. Why? Because let's take the example of a candy shop that only sells in Tokopedia, for example. When before the merger, he could just only take audiences on Tokopedia, right? But when the merge happens, he gains both audiences from Tokopedia and Gojek. What does this mean? This means he is very likely to get more exposure, more users coming into its shop. Like even if they don't come to the shop, at least the search results is going to happen. What does this mean? This is very likely that he's going to achieve more profit, and this happens to all small businesses. You know what's the best part? It makes it's a both win-win to to the big company and these small businesses. So we say that it's actually a good reason on why this merge is good. Now, second reason, second is that when this merge exists, it makes the government easier to regulate. Why? Because when you're just, moderately but a lot competitor company, government has to track multiple companies to make sure that they don't violate the laws. But then when the merge exists, boom, you only got one. You only just need to assign one body to, yeah, it's bigger, but it's much better than you need to handle a lot of these. It's much better just one company, and the easiest side is it's easier to regulate because once that applies, once that regulation applies to the company, the whole company falls between. Rather than if you apply a law, but only several competitors apply it. It's much better to regulate with big companies. Okay, why does regulation is even important? Why? Because first of all, to employ taxes, it's much easier and more efficient with one company. Like my same reasoning earlier, it's much more efficient. And second of all, when these big companies does a harm, a violation, it's much easier to give them a penalty to these big companies, so that it gives them a reason to not violate again. And then moving on. Apologies. So, and then they say that it's bad for the laborers, because they can't move or anything. We say that it's actually good for the laborers. Why? Because it opens a chance for franchising. Because when you are so big, you are able to sell your own brand. Right? When you sell your own brand, you are able to sell these people as a franchise. What does this mean? This means that you are going to profit even more, but also the people who offer themselves a franchise. This also continues to this further profits for the people and for the big company itself. Also, we say that, just like with my first argument, we say that laborers are actually going to be treated well. Why? Because if it's exposed that a laborer is doing bad, for example, the Amazon, Amazon is famous for having its their laborers treated badly. Yes, there's still a lot of people buying in Amazon, but at least some of the people chose not to buy at Amazon. That little info damages them a lot. Like if that evidence exists, there will be much more people who buys at Amazon. Which is why, ladies and gentlemen, we say that we do not regret the merge of acquisition of big tech companies. Thank you very much.